In a North Korean prison, CIA agent Evelyn Salt is being tortured as they demand she confess to being a spy. She insists she's only there for business, but nobody believes her. Later, her fellow agent Ted comes to her rescue by arranging a prisoner exchange. Salt is shocked, since CIA protocol states that one life isn't worth risking the cover of hundreds of agents. Ted admits that's true, but this time the agency was pressured into it. Salt's boyfriend, Mike, had found out what happened to her and petitioned both the Senate and the State Department. To avoid bad publicity, the CIA gave in. 2 years later, Salt and Mike are married, living peacefully with a dog and Mike's collection of spiders. He's an arachnologist. Salt has been keeping a low profile at the CIA, sticking mostly to paperwork. One afternoon, Agent Peabody asks her to help interrogate a Russian defector since she speaks the language. The man's name is Orlov. Right away, he notices Salt's wedding ring and comments that a husband must be a distraction for an agent. He claims to have cancer and says he once worked for the FSB. Both details check out in the system, so the CIA lets him share his story. He explains that back in 1975, a Russian patriot devised a plan to destroy America. He stole babies and raised them to be elite spies, drilling them with ideology and training them for years. When they were old enough, they were sent into the US as sleeper agents, waiting for the day to strike. That day, he says, is coming soon. During the funeral of the American vice president, one of these agents, K-12, is supposed to assassinate the Russian president. The CIA dismisses the story as Cold War nonsense and cuts the interrogation short. But as Salt is leaving, Orlov drops a bombshell. K-12 is Evelyn Salt. Shaken, Salt asks Ted for permission to call her husband, worried because Orlov mentioned her wedding ring. Mike doesn't answer. Peabody, needing to cover all possibilities, locks Salt in an office while he discusses next steps. Meanwhile, agents try to move Orlov to another room by elevator. He surprises them, pulling a knife hidden in his shoe, and kills them both before escaping. The CIA scrambles to start a tracking operation, leaving Salt largely unsupervised. She tells an agent she needs to use the bathroom and slips away. She heads for the emergency stairs, but the building begins locking down. To block the cameras, she smashes them with a fire extinguisher. Ted calls her directly, warning her that this behavior makes her look guilty. Salt doesn't care. Her only concern is finding her husband. She slips into a closet, mixes cleaning chemicals inside a hollow table leg, and turns it into a makeshift bomb. When the tactical team comes for her, she detonates it in their faces, then grabs a gun from one of the downed agents and smashes a window to make her escape. After running a few blocks, Salt hails a taxi and tries calling Mike again, but he still doesn't answer. She destroys her SIM card to avoid being tracked. On the way, she recalls a conversation with Ted years ago, when he told her to cozy up to Mike. As an important scientist with access to North Korea, Mike could be the perfect cover for an operative. When she reaches her apartment, Mike is gone and the place shows signs of a struggle. He's been kidnapped. Salt quickly packs a bag with a gun, some gear, and even one of Mike's spiders. She escapes out the window with her dog just as CIA teams storm the building. Inside, Peabody fumes over the empty apartment. Ted suggests that maybe Salt is telling the truth and is being set up. Meanwhile, Salt climbs along the outside of the building and stops at her young neighbor's place, asking the girl to watch her dog. She also changes into a fresh outfit before leaving. Memories of Mike flood back, how she used to show up at his museum under false pretenses but ended up falling for him genuinely. Disguised with a hat, she heads out, but Ted still recognizes her and the chase begins. The pursuit leads to the highway where agents surround her car. Salt tries to plead her innocence, saying she's being framed and the real assassin is still out there, but no one believes her. With no other choice, she jumps off the overpass onto a moving truck. The CIA and police give chase, forcing her to leap from truck to truck. During the chaos, Peabody shoots her in the hip, knocking her down, but she keeps going on foot. A biker suddenly appears and Salt seizes the chance. She knocks him off and steals his motorcycle. Zipping through traffic, she loses her pursuers. Back at headquarters, Peabody receives a disturbing report. Salt lost her parents as a child and was raised in Russia. The details match Orlov's story. Meanwhile, Salt ducks into a biker bar, patches her wound with a sanitary pad and changes clothes again. She thinks back on happier times with Mike. Later, she boards a bus to New York and recalls the day she was freed from the Korean prison. She had confessed to Mike that she was CIA and claimed they couldn't be together, but Mike didn't care. He wanted her anyway. In New York, Salt checks into a luxury hotel under a fake name. She steals a coat, then in her room removes her contacts and fake teeth. Her disguise drops and the truth is revealed. She really is a Russian sleeper agent. Orlov's appearance was orchestrated to pass along her next mission. She's well prepared. She's smuggled in weapons, uses venom from Mike's spider to poison bullets, and downloads subway maps to plan her approach to the Russian president. As she dyes her hair black, she recalls how easily she convinced the CIA to accept her as loyal years earlier. The next day, crowds fill the streets for the vice president's funeral. CIA agents are everywhere, on alert for Salt. She takes the subway, but the station near the church is closed. She sets off a smoke bomb in the train car, using the confusion to slip out and navigate the tunnels with her downloaded map. She infiltrates the church from below, fighting through guards as she goes. Reaching the chamber directly under the podium where the Russian president is speaking, she plants explosives. The bomb blows a hole in the floor, dropping the president into the room below. Without hesitation, she shoots him with a poisoned bullet. The gunfire draws Peabody to her location. To his surprise, Salt surrenders, dropping her weapon and allowing herself to be arrested. As she's escorted out, Ted screams at her, furious over her betrayal. The Russian president is declared dead en route to the hospital. In custody, Salt reflects on her past. As a child, she had undergone plastic surgery, received a new identity as Evelyn Salt, and been given an American backstory. A boy in the next hospital bed once asked if she'd miss her old life, but she never answered. While being transported in a police car across a bridge, Salt springs into action. She savagely attacks the officers inside, causing the vehicle to crash into other police cars. After ramming as many as she can, she deliberately drives off the bridge. Thanks to airbags, she survives the fall, and as bystanders crowd around, she slips away unnoticed, stealing a hat from a nearby shop as cover. Later, Salt takes a boat and can't help but think back to the day she was brought to America as a child, placed with a new family, and told to wait patiently for the day her orders would come. When she arrives at the harbor, she sees on TV that anti-American protests are spreading across Russia. Many believe the attack on their president was an act of U.S. terrorism. In a nearby bar, Salt reunites with Orlov. He calls her his perfect creation, proud to reveal he was always the man behind the KA program and the one who trained her. He scolds her again for marrying Mike, but Salt defends herself, saying it was part of maintaining her cover. To test her loyalty, Orlov takes Salt to his hideout, where Mike is being held. Instead of shooting him, which would be too easy to endure, they begin drowning him slowly, just to see if Salt will break. She keeps her face stoic, but her eyes betray her pain. Satisfied that she's still loyal, the group welcomes her back. Salt recognizes many of them as the children who trained alongside her years ago. Later, Orlov speaks to Salt in private. The next phase, he explains, is to seize America's nuclear weapons. Salt will meet an agent in a NATO uniform on a plane, and he'll give her the final instructions. But Salt has already decided what she must do. In a sudden turn, she smashes a bottle and kills Orlov, furious at how he destroyed her life. She arms herself with grenades and rifles and methodically slaughters every operative in the hideout. When she reaches Mike, it's too late, he's already dead. Overcome with grief, she remembers the happiness of their wedding day, a life that was real to her even if everything else was built on lies. With nothing left to lose, Salt heads to the plane assigned to her. On board, she is greeted by Schneider, the boy from her childhood who once said he would miss her. Now a powerful colonel, he welcomes her as his attaché on a mission to the White House. Their goal, kill the American president. He mentions that other sleeper agents are already in place inside. Hours later, they arrive in Washington. Salt dons a man's disguise to match the fake ID Schneider provides. Together, they pass through White House security without issue, even noticing CIA agents among the president's staff. As part of the plan, Schneider suddenly goes berserk. He pushes Salt aside and opens fire on everyone in sight. Secret Service hustles the president away just before Schneider sets off an explosive. Ted, present at the scene, tells his colleagues he suspects Salt is nearby. Using the chaos as cover, Salt steals a card key and ditches her disguise. She watches as agents escort the president toward a secure bunker via elevator. Once they're gone, she knocks out a guard, pries open the shaft and climbs down. She slips through the corridor just as the doors to the bunker close, fighting off guards as she goes. Inside the bunker, the president is told Russia is mobilizing its missiles. He orders preparations for nuclear options, while agents leave to investigate the disabled doors. Salt ambushes and defeats them with ease. The president then contacts military leaders to obtain authorization codes for U.S. nuclear weapons. At that moment, the White House security team learns Salt is close. Ted demands a weapon, but protocol forbids it in the president's presence. Suddenly, Ted reveals his true allegiance. He seizes the gun, kills the guards, and turns on the president. Shocked, the president refuses to cooperate, so Ted executes him. Salt arrives soon after, but the final door is locked. She speaks to Ted through the intercom and he finally reveals the truth. He'd been a sleeper agent all along, one class ahead of hers, which is why she never recognized him. He admits he was the one who pushed Orloff to use Salt for the assassination. Ted continues, explaining his plan. Launch nuclear missiles at the Middle East, forcing those countries to retaliate against America. Salt pretends to be interested, claiming she wants to join him. But as Ted prepares to open the door, news flashes across the monitors. The Russian president is alive. It turns out Salt hadn't killed him. The spider venom had only paralyzed him temporarily, just long enough to fake his death. Ted realizes then that Salt abandoned the Russian cause when she fell in love with Mike. Desperate to stop him, Salt changes tactics. Salt tries to shoot through the bulletproof glass separating them, but it holds. She shoots at the walls, exposing the lock system, and destroys it, finally breaking into the control room. She and Ted brawl in a brutal fight. Ted initially has the upper hand, but Salt fights through the pain, pushes him back, and rushes to halt the nuclear launch. Before she can finish, security forces storm in. They shoot Salt and knock her down, but she survives thanks to a vest. They arrest her, while Ted plays the innocent CIA agent since the cameras had been disabled. Peabody arrives and tries to piece together the situation. Reports about Orloff's death and the destruction of his group make him suspicious of Salt's real intentions. As Salt is being escorted out, she notices Ted quietly stealing scissors from a medic. Acting instantly, she loops her handcuff chain around his neck and leaps over the railing, snapping it tight until he's dead. Later, Salt is placed on a helicopter with Peabody. He demands answers. She tells him about Ted, but he doesn't believe her. Salt reminds him that she could have killed both him and the Russian president earlier but didn't. She swears she wants to hunt down every sleeper agent left, not for the CIA, not for Russia, but for Mike. Peabody studies her carefully. When he gets word confirming she killed Orloff, he finally understands. She might be their only chance against the hidden moles, but no one else would believe her. So, quietly while no one is looking, he unlocks her cuffs. As the helicopter passes over a river, Salt jumps out, with Peabody pretending she escaped by surprise. He orders a search of the area, but Salt is already swimming to shore and disappearing into the forest. Later, news reports announce that the new American president is visiting Russia on a peace mission. During his speech, he declares that all sleeper agents, including Evelyn Salt, are dead. But then his backstory is revealed. As a child, he was orphaned in Russia. The implication is chilling, he's a sleeper agent too. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss more videos like this. Thanks for watching.